Good morning. Wow, it's been 71 days into my journey now, and it's really taken an interesting turn. For the better or for the worse, I'm not exactly sure which, but you'll figure it out for yourself, I guess. On Wednesday, when I came home from radiation, I did my usual, lotioned up and front and back, and I threw my towel on like I showed you the last time so I wouldn't get grease on my clothes because this product that I use is very greasy. It's a petroleum based product. Well, you know, um, and I laid down in bed and I was making some phone calls. Actually, I was talking to a friend, and then I was talking to my sister, and then my daughter-in-law came in and she took a look and she said, "Oh wow," she said. You better take that towel off, because I was red, like from my chin, went across all the way to my ear, straight down like this. It was bright red. It was hot. Almost felt like maybe an allergic reaction. I don't think it was, but whatever. Anyway, so I needed to have that checked out, and it did calm down just a little bit after a while. But I called the cancer center anyway, just to let them know. And so I spoke with the chemo people. They said, well, with it being so localized, it's usually not the chemo, it's usually the radiation. So anyway, so spoke to the radiation people, and so whatever. And I was doing whatever I was supposed to be doing. So the next morning, of course, they were immediately there to check on me and make sure, and it had calmed down and things were better. But whatever. Anyway, so what I'm finding out is that they radiate from here on down. So it also affects my throat, not just my esophagus down here, but also in here. So I'm finding now that I have a bit more of a cough, which I'm not keen on, but it is what it is. And that inflammation causes excess mucus. That's why I have the cough, to cough up the mucus. Oh my God, and on it goes, right? Anyway, so that kind of what happens with that. So needless to say, I no longer put the towel over my shoulder because that keeps the heat in. And so I'm now borrowing shirts that people want to get rid of because I really don't want to get my clothes all greasy if I can help it, so after I lotion up in the morning, I put on an old shirt, and of course I have done that since the beginning at nighttime. So that's what's taking place with that. But we've got that kind of under control. It does turn a little bit red, especially right after I have the radiation. Like now, it's been a couple of hours and it's getting better, but there may still be some pinkness there. But by the next day, it's okay. So I've got 11 days left of radiation. So I hope that's as bad as it gets, I guess. And if that's the case, that's all right with me. The other thing that I was told this last week, which was really kind of exciting and shocking and everything else to me, was I was explaining to my chemo people that the doctor that I really dislike that anti-nausea pill because it makes my head really fuzzy. And it's not that I can't function; it's just that it's hard for me to find my words and so on and so forth. And and he says, well, you don't have to take it if you're not nauseous. Well, I haven't been nauseous at all, but I thought the reason I was taking it is so that I wouldn't get nauseous. Okay. So he says, well, if you could take just half if you want to try it that way. It's up to you. So I said, oh boy, I can make a decision. I said, I can actually quit it totally. And he says, yes, you can. Try it. See what happens. Well, I went home and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know what to do because, I certainly don't want to feel any nausea. At the same time, I certainly don't want to feel that either if I can help it. So I did try that on Wednesday night when I was supposed to be taking it for the first time. No nausea pill worked beautifully. I felt like a new woman. I felt like like pre-chemo. Everything was in in place. It was like, okay, everything was good. My head was clear. I felt energetic. I felt more like myself, and all of that. So I've done without that pill 2 times this week. That's the amount of times I would have had to take it. And all is well. I am not nauseous at all. Right now I have a lozenge in my mouth only because I don't want to cough because I'm talking to you. So I'm trying to forestall that. That's what I'm trying to do. So that's all that's really happening here. I do find that I'm a little bit more tired. Like today I had my radiation and I came home. I don't sleep, but I do lay down for an hour because I just need that to rest and recoup kind of. And then I can get up and I can do things. And I probably will take a little nap this afternoon or whatever, but then I can do something again. So, you kind of go with your energy level, but I do try to always take care of myself at the same time, not to overdo it, because my body is really trying to heal itself, I suppose you could say. I'm not sure. So that's all that's happening. And that's plenty for me, because one step at a time in this journey is about as much as I can handle. So anyway, so I promised you the last time that I was going to tell you about He Who Runs Like the Wind. And this is he just turned 5-year-old great-grandson. He was born during 2020 in the midst of COVID. He was the first of 3 of our great-grandchildren born in 2020 during the COVID part of it. And so this was the time that, it was nobody knew really what was happening or what the process should be or whatever. So when he was born, they were, the dads couldn't go with the moms to the appointments, didn't know whether or not they would be allowed at the hospital when the child was born. Well, fortunately he was. And so dad was there, which was great. So anyway, this little guy was pretty tiny. He weighed just a little bit over 6 pounds, and then he lost like a pound in the first month. In the first few days. So he went down to like 5 pounds. So when I first saw him for the first time, he looked really tiny. And of course, we're all wearing masks in those days, and you're almost afraid to touch him. You don't want to give him anything. So I don't think I even held him for the first 3 weeks that he was born. So anyway, but then he's always been just a little smaller than the average. And because he is a little smaller and he has an older sister, he picks things up really quickly. And you know how that goes. They talk fast. They they do whatever. Anyway, so people would always kind of notice him because he was so tiny and he was walking. Or he was so tiny and he was talking. And so that's kind of how it went. Hold on just a second. And it wasn't until recently that we were at a gymnastics event for his sister, and he was running around these chairs, and so I was kind of timing him just for kicks, and he would come over and check to see what kind of time frame he ran in and all that stuff. And so anyway, I realized, he's pretty darn fast for somebody so little. So anyway, so needless to say, he's been playing flag football, and he's speedy. He's like he has more touchdowns. He picks up more flags than the average kid does, just because he's little and he's fast, and he uses that, right? So anyway, so he's quite the ham overall. And I have to show you a picture of him, actually. I hope you can see this really well. I did it in black and white specifically, but he's got a cowboy hat and cowboy boots, and so he wanted to show off his silhouette. So there he is, standing there. I get a kick out of him, but anyway, so there he is. So when I realized how fast this kid was, I said to him one day, if you were of the Lakota Nation, your father or your chief would have said, your name is He who runs like the wind, and he liked that so much. So that's who he is to me. He who runs like the wind. So anyway, that's my fourth great grandchild, and I just hope that how much I love him comes through loud and clear. Anyway, that's it for the day. Oh, we have an event coming up, and I hope that you will plug in next time I post. Talk to you soon. Bye.